Major Glenn Ignacio, the retired Air Force Special Operations Commander, has joined us so many times to talk about this war in Ukraine, and now on a very big day when it comes to this war is with us. Thank you, Glenn. It's always good to see you. I wonder, somebody's mentioned earlier that whether Trump can get into that or will get into any of those issues, the land swapping without Zelensky present.
Yeah, good to see you, Connell. Honestly, I think that's one of the things that he should probably stay away with at this point. Now, if you listen to him, and always tied to each one of the words is that President Trump says, "Hey, I'm focused on a ceasefire." That is something that's within the parameters and within the boundaries of what he can talk about. I think that is something that immediately Putin can make a decision about because he can end the fighting right now. I think the important part about this is that with Zelensky out there, you can't talk about the territories, and the only way to bring them together, I think, is with Trump because, again, Putin doesn't even recognize Zelensky as far as running the country of Ukraine. So I think that's key. One of the things about the ceasefire, though, is we're going to have to really have some parameters about what are the boundaries and what does that mean about the ceasefire and what would actually contradict or what would trigger or compromise the ceasefire, because we know accidents can happen. I think that's a focus of today, and I think that's achievable.
Okay. Maybe one of the things you could do is like look down the road a little bit for us with your kind of experience on this. You've been following it since the beginning. I know since you left the Air Force, so we've talked about this a little bit in the past, that you and some of your teammates, I think they're ex-military, have done some work in Ukraine, extraditions, things like that. And so you've been there, you know it, you have people on the ground there now who know it. So you've been following it. And, like many Americans, you have a rooting interest. You've been for Ukraine. You've been very pro-Ukraine. But recently, as we've been talking, I would describe your comments maybe as coming to terms with what you see as the realistic expectations for the future. In other words, you said, well, I'd love Ukraine to just win this war outright, but you don't think that necessarily or is going to happen. So what do you think is going to happen? How does it all end?
Yeah, I think you've captured it completely. I mean, I think we're, looking at how this can unfold, but the longer this has gone, the more it has benefited Russia, like it or not. And it's hard to say, but it is true. Completely support Ukraine. Ukraine's winning battles, but they're not winning the war. And here's the facts of it. Is again, we talk about a lot of the troops and the people that were in the military in the beginning with Ukraine aren't there anymore. They've passed, and there's been very small or little bit amount of reserves. So a lot of the people that started fighting at the beginning are still fighting there now. So it doesn't matter if the weapons change or anything. That is a limited resource for them. Where on Russia's side, you see the influence from North Korea and others. The other thing is Putin has not declared a war. If he did, he could have the entire industry of Russia against Ukraine, and that would be a whole different nightmare. But let's put that to the side. So the longer this goes is beneficial for Russia. Now, they're both polarized as far as giving this territory away. Zelensky is not going to. Putin wants it completely. That is where the problem is. And I think it coming to the point of looking at this is that, I think I said it the other day, is you have an infected arm. Are you going to cut that off, which is giving that territory to Russia, or are you going to lose the whole body, which really does put things in consideration if this goes forward? I think that's really the best play for it.
So what's the best way to play that now if you're Zelensky and you know all of this, and do you have a hand to play? I mean, for example, John Bolton was saying, you probably maybe heard the clip on yesterday's show, we just played it again today, that he doesn't think it's in their ceasefire, in their interest to agree to a ceasefire now, because he thinks Russia might take advantage of that, and he thinks they should keep fighting. What do you think they should do now, knowing all of what you just said?
Yeah, well, in all honesty, yeah, it's not in Russia's benefit to have a ceasefire if you focus and completely focus only on Ukraine. However, you've got now let's take a look at bigger. You've got a 10% inflation rate, and things are climbing as far as the economic problems within Russia.
But what about Ukraine's interest? That's what Bolton was talking about.
Oh, gotcha.
He doesn't think Ukraine should, because he thinks that Russia would just take advantage of it and build out those lines even more, and you'd have even more land given away.
Yeah, thanks. And thanks for clarifying. Absolutely. So, yeah, the longer it goes, again, there's inches that are being lost to Russia. So, Ukraine shouldn't continue on this particular conflict. As we mentioned, you can put all the weapons you want in there, but you still need the people to operate them and be educated. And unfortunately, there's a lot of people that are dying. So, yes, it is in the best interest of Ukraine to end this completely. So you still have ego, you have the Constitution. And honestly, it's got to be hard as a nation in give this away to the aggressor. But guess what? The aggressor is unfortunately making tractions closer to Kyiv. And even though they're inches, you're still losing it. So I think that's where it's better to stop this if possible. They really should.
Even if, and this is the last thing real quick, if they do stop it, will we keep them, we being the United States, safe? Security guarantees?
Yeah, honestly, again, looking forward if you were to do this. Now, say it was to end, property was going to go to Russia, lines stay the way they are. I think that, are you going to be a member of NATO? No. Are you going to have significant backings from NATO, or at least the United States, for security purposes? Yes. And then we have those particular interests with the economics and the mining, where you put in U.S. interests in the area which prevents Russia from
Hmm.
attacking and possibly killing Americans. That's the way I could see it going forward. But Zelensky and Putin are the decision makers as far as that goes.
Okay, Glenn, as always, great on this topic. We'll be back to you, Glenn Ignacio. Later, our special coverage continues with Geraldo weighing in. We'll talk to Geraldo.